How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I want to talk to you about some crypto that I sold and some big moves I've made, which I think almost everyone will understand where I'm coming from. And once you hear it, just make sure you're not one of those people that's a thumbnail investor or thumbnail commenter where you just look at the thumbnail and the title and make your own assumptions, because what I did, I think, will make a lot of sense to a lot of people and I think can benefit a lot of people. We're going to take a look at some of the top news, though. First, if you don't mind hitting the like button and subscribe button, I try to bring you content as quickly as possible when it's time sensitive. So hit the bell notification so you know right when I post a video. You can see that the crypto market is down about 2.5% here today, just on the lower range of where we've been recently, with Bitcoin between 20 and 22,000 really. Ethereum just over 1,000. A lot of other cryptos down slightly on the last 24 hours. Now, the stock market is looking a little bit better today, maybe. I mean, it's pretty much sideways. You can see the Nasdaq's up a little bit, S&P 500 and Dow are down a bit. This is after a really terrible day yesterday. Now, just to talk about how bad crypto has gotten, 98.5% of all crypto coins are down more than 90% from their all-time highs. Now, I've talked about a lot of cryptos on the channel, right? I'm a YouTuber, so I talk about what people want to talk about. I talk about what I think has potential, and markets change over time. Now, one thing that I've done a lot over really this entire year was talking about focusing on Bitcoin and focusing on building a cash position. Now, one thing I got wrong was I did have some of that cash position in USD, which was a problem. But you can see that I've been really focusing on the crypto projects that I think are going to be here for the long term, because after a lot of these cryptos go down 90, 95, 99%, it's really difficult for the founders to continue to build and continue to make it through the bear market. Now, we will still get really inflated asset prices. We'll still have 100x's and 1000x's in the next bull run. It's just a question of making sure you can make it through, which is something that I will be talking about here in a second when I talk about what cryptos I sold and what I did. Now, one of the big problems recently has been that Three Arrows Capital has potentially become insolvent. And I've talked about that a lot in the last few videos. But basically, they were a company, a large hedge fund that had raised capital, that was investing in the crypto space, invested in a lot of good cryptocurrencies, but they over leveraged and they borrowed a lot of money. And now this is kind of like a contagion that is spreading to other companies. They use a lot of the large companies that you've heard of, a lot of the different exchanges, to borrow money and to reinvest and to get outsized returns, which is fine, except for it's highly risky. And then in a bear market, it makes them unable to pay back their debts because they're so leveraged. Now, something else that just came out recently is that they were actually leading a lot of seed rounds. So they were investing in early companies. And what they were doing was they were actually using, or they were talking to the companies or the projects and actually holding onto their treasuries for them. And they were giving them a guaranteed rate of return, and these projects just allowed them to hold all their cash in their treasury, which is a big problem, because then they went and they moved to all different places. They gave them that 8% in the short term, but now they're insolvent and not able to pay this back. So a lot of these smaller projects, especially the ones that 3AC has invested in, which used to be like a badge of honor, now they have no treasuries, and they've had their treasuries locked up for a while. So be careful about these smaller projects. Now, what did I do recently? Because again, this video is kind of my thoughts on the market and what I'm doing. Well, there's been this contagion recently. A lot of projects were tied in UST or in Three Arrows Capital or in Celsius. Now, something that I have been doing is getting yield onto my cryptos. And I've been thinking for probably a couple weeks now, man, I really should be putting more on cold storage, or I should at least move it to a less risky place to hold. Now, Dylan Leclerc just posted this yesterday, and this is a little bit of speculation, but he said Voyager had loaned $320 million to a Singapore-based entity named Counterparty B. One has to wonder if this was Three Arrows Capital. And did they get hit because Three Arrows Capital is now possibly insolvent. So they got a pretty nice rate of return from Three Arrows Capital, but now they might have lost 320 million. Now, this is pretty worrying because Voyager has been down and down and down, and now their market cap is like 200 million. Now, they can take your crypto, and I believe they can lend it out too because they give you yield back on it. So you're basically giving your keys over to them and allowing them to do whatever they want with it. Now, I thought that was quite risky. In good times, it's fine, right? I loved Voyager because I was getting passive income. Who cares in a bull market? All these companies are making so much money. They'll do anything so that they don't have to stop making all this money. They'll continue to build, and they will take good risk cutting procedures, or they will cut risk wherever possible just to continue the gravy train. However, now we realize that some emperors had no clothes, as they say. We realized that some projects and some companies were taking too much risk. So I had a lot of crypto in Voyager. That was where I held the majority of my portfolio. I moved it out yesterday. Some of this I actually sold. My biggest position was in Bitcoin, and they only allow you to withdraw a certain amount each day, and I couldn't withdraw it all. So what I did was I moved what I could. I transferred a lot out, but then I also straight up sold Bitcoin and then rebought it. And the reason I say that is because there's no wash sale rule, as I understand, still in crypto, which means you can basically sell a crypto at a loss and then buy it right back, and you can claim a loss on your taxes. Now, consult a tax advisor about this. And be careful because you can still get hit with some fees, right? Because a lot of the times there are spreads on this. And I'm not trying to advise you on what to do, but I sold, I rebought, I transferred out. I put a good portion of it into FTX.us. I won't show you exactly how much because it's not smart to show how much crypto you have, but I moved a good portion of my portfolio over to FTX.us. I moved it to one or two other places as well. I'm going to put it on cold storage. I'm still working through which cold storage device I want to use the most. But you just have to be careful. I mean, there are still projects like this. Crypto lender Babel Finance halts withdrawals due to liquidity pressures. Celsius halts withdrawals. There are so many companies that are tied up with other companies now that you have to be careful. The main purpose of getting the money out of Voyager was that I knew that there's only a certain amount I could withdraw each day. So if they halt withdrawals, that's a problem. I'm still funneling money out because I had to sell, and now I'm withdrawing a certain portion each day. But that's also FDIC insured if it's in straight up USD, just cash. That's something that they made very clear recently. So I will continue to withdraw as many days as I need to get the cash out. But this was a good thing for me because I got to put it on a website or an exchange that's much larger. FTX is still hiring. They still don't look like they're in some of the pressure of some of the other crypto companies, right? They're not halting hiring. They're not halting withdrawals. They're still growing. They still have been valued at a lot and raised a lot of capital. That's something that's very clear to me. They have a lot of capital. And this is one of those times where people are moving money away from some of the smaller exchanges into some of the larger exchanges and off exchanges in general and to cold storage. So I think FTX will take some of the market share from some of the smaller companies. Binance will probably do the same. I have a link to FTX underneath the video if you want to sign up and deposit crypto there and move crypto there. There you can get 10% off trading fees and get free crypto when you transfer over $100 of crypto over there. But I think now is the time to be risk off. And that's something that I said in a video recently. I posted a video, watch before buying crypto. And I talked about crypto pricing and a couple things to be careful of in this market. And 3 things I said. First of all, stay around, survive, don't over allocate basically. Like make sure that you have money on the sidelines, some money to continue to buy in case we get good opportunities. Take cash out of anything sketchy or risky. And that's where I just did that, right? It's not risky in a bull market, but now it is kind of risky or riskier. And then increase your income. That's the third thing. So I needed to practice what I preached. Of course, there probably is going to be no issue. That's how it always works, right? You overreact, and then I'll lose some money because I had to sell. I took a little bit of a fee, and then I have to buy back, and there's a little bit of a fee there too. But I think it's still the right idea. I think it's better to be able to sleep knowing that there's less risk of anything happening to my crypto. And I am still working on that long-term plan to get money out and to put it on cold storage, or to get Bitcoin out and put it on cold storage. And let me be clear, I still think now is a time for buying. I'm still watching, and I'm still buying. I don't want to say daily, but I bought a pretty heavy amount yesterday or the day before. I continue to dollar cost average, and that's because there's so many things that have gone wrong in the market. You have to realize these things will turn at some point. Let me just list off a few things that have gone wrong, right? Inflation at 40-year highs, near 9%. We even had a fake out where it went down and then came back up. Fed raising interest rates. The crypto market's never been at interest rates this high before. There's war that's clogging up all the supply chains, causing a lot of fear and panic in Russia and Ukraine. Luna evaporated $50 billion just from their own tokens, but remember, they also sold billions of dollars of Bitcoin as well to try to get pegged back on UST. We have Celsius, that is one of the bigger borrowing exchanges, or one of the companies that a lot of people use to borrow and lend and invest in. We have Three Arrows Capital that might be insolvent. They also sold billions of dollars, were being forced to sell. They were being liquidated. We have regulation on the way, which a lot of people are worried about, especially with some of the smaller cryptos, so that causes some panic. We have a looming USDT collapse, right? A lot of people have been worried about Tether for years, and with regulation coming, they're ultra worried about Tether. And maybe it just fizzles out and more people use USDC and it kind of passes, because it is getting closer now, right? Tether usually isn't under a $70 billion market cap. I think it's the first time in a long time that's been under. So we might just have USDC gain more market share, but that's something to pay attention to as well. We have a looming recession. Almost everyone thinks we're in recession already. We have a coming housing collapse because interest rates are growing so much, and there's just going to be a lot of inventory that's not going to be selling because people aren't willing to pay the kinds of prices that they need to pay. And then we also have a stock market collapse, right? A lot of stocks are down significantly. All three major indexes, I believe, are now in crash territory or bear market territory. NASDAQ's down, 30%? And you can't trust any kind of run right now. No one can trust a bounce because there's too much macro that's not going well. So all those things are going against crypto, and we're still at $20,000. Keep in mind that if we look a few years out, right, many of these things will be over with probably, right? Inflation will be taken care of. Hopefully the Fed is actually lowering interest rates. Hopefully the war is taken care of. Luna, Celsius, Three Arrows Capital will be in the background, whether they collapse or not, right? A lot of the leverage will be flushed out. Regulation hopefully will be here for crypto. USDT probably won't be as much of a problem if there's already regulation in place, and USDC and other fiat-backed stablecoins are actually leading the way. Recession will be in the past, hopefully 3 years down the road, 2 years down the road. The housing collapse will have already happened. Stocks will be on a rebound. All those things will be in the rearview mirror. And if you think crypto is going to be returning to its all-time highs, you have to realize Bitcoin's going to be 3.5x from here. Ethereum is going to be 4.5x from here. A lot of these smaller cryptos will be 3, 4, 5, 10x from here, 20x from here, because they've already fallen down 90, 95%. So you have to realize that the same thing that's stopping you from wanting to buy in and dollar cost average now or buy a heavier amount is the same reason you didn't sell towards the top. It's because of greed, right? We want to see Bitcoin fall down to 19,000 or 18,000, 17,000 before we buy more. And then some people still will want to see more after that. That's the same reason that we've been not selling at the top, because we wanted to see Bitcoin go to 75,000 or 80,000, 90,000 before we sold anything. So you have to be careful of that, but that's why I continue to buy in. And we could always fall further, right? We can always fall further. You have to be ready for that. But I think now is a good risk to reward ratio. And let me be clear, I still do have a lot of cash on the sidelines. I still have a good income that can allow me to invest in crypto consistently along with stocks, and I am diversifying. I have real estate as well. So I'm trying to diversify. I just know now is a good time to be buying if you're buying good assets. Now, let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. I want to be clear on the fact that I'm buying because, I talked about selling because of the wash sale rule and trying to get my crypto out a little bit more efficiently. But I still really strongly believe in crypto and where it's going in the future. I don't want you guys to misunderstand. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Check out the link down there to ftx.us. I'm not just blowing smoke. I really do like it. And I think it's a safer exchange to put your crypto on. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.